Hello there, and welcome to Mission Unstoppable. My guest today is Nicole Conn. She's a renowned screenwriter, director, producer, author, film editor, known for her lesbian-themed films like Claire of the Moon, More Beautiful for Having Been Broken, Elena Undone, A Perfect Ending, and a special one called Little Man. Well, Nicole is known as a lesbian filmmaker and best-known writer-director of women's films the world over. She has been a pioneer throughout her career, and in 2023, she directed the first LGBTQ plus dating competition show titled Coming Out for Love. Nicole is going to return on October the 9th to my other show, Frankie Sense and More, to discuss her LGBTQ plus films with Chicago movie critic and my friend Brent Marchand. Today, we are going to discuss the birth of her son, Nicholas, who was featured in the documentary titled Little Man. It was an award-winning documentary that garnered 12 Best Documentary Awards, along with the prestigious Cedars-Sinai Courageous Beginnings Award, Family Pride's Family Tree Award, and the film also made the 3 top 10 lists of 2005. Nicole, I titled this episode Just Because You Can, Should You? And I think that's a good jumping off point. Let's take listeners back to the very beginning and, the work that happened, the conflicts, all of that. But let's go back to the very, very beginning. You were in a wonderful relationship with a woman, Gwen Baba, and
Yes.
at some point you two decide, you know what, let's start a family.
Yep. Well, actually, I spent a year and a half trying to talk her out of starting a family because
Oh, okay.
we're both so consumed with our work and we're both so self-centered and self-like everything. We're not going to make good parents. So let's just forget it. But
Okay.
I had in that final year and a half, I had 3 big projects that were going huge, 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 all get into turnaround. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And we were driving home from San Francisco. And I said to her, oh, okay, let's do it. Let's have a baby. And then that became my mission in life.
How old were you guys then? About?
She was 44 and I was 41.
Okay.
So we
Okay.
were in that, very precarious,
Yeah, do it now or don't do it at all
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
place.
exactly.
So at one point you guys both had fertility and got your eggs
Yes, we did.
extracted.
Yes.
And so that must have been fun.
That was
Living with the both
so
of
not fun. Our
you.
first 7 in vitro fertilizations didn't take. So the doctor finally said, you're going to need to use Nicole's eggs as well because her fertility is huge, really super high. So we were both on all of the drugs for the same 6-week period before extraction. And the thing I remember the most about it is also driving from San Francisco one day. Well, the reason we were driving to San Francisco is my brother was there and he was
Oh,
the
okay.
sperm donor for Gwen.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
That
yeah,
was nice.
so
Yeah.
we had a member of my family, and as it ended up, 18 years later, we discovered Gwen and Brian, my brother, are the sperm donor and eggs. So
They were the father.
Gabrielle's uncle is really her father, and I'm actually her aunt. So
Oh, isn't that interesting?
yeah,
That's
but we
interesting.
did the black box, and for 18 years, it's a delirious mind f. You know what? Don't ever do the black box. Don't ever do the black box. Figure out whose baby it is from the beginning. It will save you so much trouble and heartache.
Oh, okay. Is that because the child wants to know who they might be related to?
Yes, absolutely.
They
They
want to
want
go
to
forward in a
they
relationship
and they
or
should be able to know those things. And but we had an agreement, a legal agreement with my brother as well.
oh,
We would
okay.
not do anything until she was 18 years old, period. We never wanted her to think anything other than that Gwen and I were her moms, period.
Right.
And
Right.
that's the way it really is. I mean, her uncle is still Unky and we're still her parents. So
Yeah.
that's as it should be.
Awesome.
But it was a lot of emotional, especially when Gwen and I split over Nicholas. It became it
Yeah.
was tough.
Yeah. And how old is Gabby now?
She just turned 25. She'll be 26 next year, and Nicholas is 23.
Okay. So she was 2 when he was born.
Yep.
Um, so after you had Gabby and everything was great. You had a wonderful little
Yep.
girl. She was
Oh my
delightful.
God. It was just pure bliss. It was like the best of, normie births. It was wonderful. She was an exquisite baby. I became Sears parenting, attachment parenting. She lived in my Bjorn the first year. It was exquisite. And she was super healthy. Nothing ever happened to her. She was tough as nails.
Good.
So
Yeah. Yeah. And then who decided to have the second you?
I from I was the one that didn't want to have children, but from the moment Gabrielle was born, seriously, it just changed me fundamentally in every way possible. I finally realized there was something outside of me in my work, and that thing was so much bigger and better than anything else I had ever experienced. And I would have had 6 children, which I ended up having with my second ex, who has 4 kids. So I ended up getting my 6 children in a kind of way. But yeah, I was like, let's do it again. She needs a sibling. I grew up with 2 sisters and 2 brothers, and it was like, I want to have a large family. And Gwen grew up with just her brother and herself, so she was less inclined, and I think Gabrielle was way enough for her.
Mm-hmm.
And we had my frozen embryos left, so we decided to try it. I couldn't carry, so we had a surrogate, which is in the Little Man documentary. And as you know, he was born at 25 and a half weeks, 100 grams, which is just less than a pound. And there are only 2 hospitals in the country that would save him, and that was in New York and Cedars in LA. They don't save anything under 500 grams.
500.
Under 500 grams, they just will not do it because they're not viable. So we happen to be in the right one of 2 hospitals in the entire country.
That's incredible.
And I always believed he was fated anyway, because I felt him so strongly, Frankie. He was in me, all around me, all the time.
From even like from inception.
Yes. I was like, inception. I know this little energy. And I felt the same way with Gabrielle. I really did. But with him, it was so intense. And then when we found out something was wrong, it turned me into a totally different human. As I say in the film, I used to be a far left, abortion, you name it. And it made me have to see the fervor with which the right supported, no abortion. It made me understand that inclination, that thing that jumps out of your gut. And not that I don't believe everybody should have their own choice, because you have to live with it in whatever way you choose. And I just couldn't do it. As I say, you could put a gun to my head, I couldn't terminate.
Well, let's go to Mary. It was Mary, right? Her name,
yes, Mary. Yeah.
So, I mean, I saw in the documentary, you got all these papers, you're going through all these women. I mean, man, you could have picked anybody, and you picked her. What was it about her?
Yeah. Well, the agency we were working with actually picked her for us because she was a lesbian. And what we didn't understand is, I don't think their people or their medical offices weren't aware of the fact that she had only 1 kidney, which is, sort of a precursor to preeclampsia. And so it became a huge issue between the agency and ourselves when we realized things were in trouble. I mean, it became.
When did you realize that? Was it at the
week 20?
Week 20 when you saw his limbs weren't growing? He was 2 weeks behind.
We went up to, Mary was up in San Francisco. We went up there and went to the 20 week, thinking everything was going to be fine and we were going to figure out the sex and all that good stuff. And it turned into the worst nightmare. The guy came out and he says, "There's something terribly wrong with your baby. You need to terminate this pregnancy." And I was like, "Are you fucking sorry, out of your mind?"
You can say that. You can say that. That's okay.
And Gwen was like, "Yep, we got to do that." And from that point forward,
she was really militant about wanting it gone.
She did not. She has a lot more practical thinking. She thinks about every conceivable outcome of stuff, and I don't. I'm sort of leap from the cliff,
from the heart. Yeah.
And
so, which is kind of, I guess I'm kind of the same way. But at the same time, Mary didn't disclose that. How many kids had she had?
She had 1.
No problem.
Her daughter's name was Nicole as well.
Oh.
Mary did disclose it. What wasn't disclosed was that we didn't realize it was disclosed and what the issue was. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You didn't know we don't know medicine. We were like, oh, okay, that was really lovely of her. But nobody said, but that is the whole reason she should never have been granted to be a surrogate. That was the agency's issue.
Right.
So, and the problem is that Mary and I were the only ones who wanted to have the baby. And so Mary and I became like completely bonded, and Gwen just felt like she said, she felt
third wheel,
third wife.
Yeah, third wheel, third wife. Yeah. And you guys had an agreement that when Gabby was was about, if there was
Yes,
any problem with it, you would terminate that pregnancy.
absolutely. Yeah.
And so at this time around, that wasn't a go.
I couldn't, no, I just said, I made that agreement. I agree. I made that agreement. I just can't keep that agreement. I can't. If you need this to happen, you have to do it on your own without my, approval or agreement.
Right.
I just, it just
Did
was,
you see that it was the beginning of the end of your relationship right there?
no, because I'm the eternal romantic.
Okay.
I really
Thought she
believe
would come around.
sort of where the end of the movie happens at 2.5 years, when he's 2.5 years, I believed Gwen turned the corner. And so because I
I
believed
thought
that,
so. It looked like it.
yes, I mean that's how that documentary ended, was on that up note. And that lasted until he just, from year 1 to 5, he was a central line child. He had so many MRSA infections. We were in the hospital all the time. We had to move Gabrielle's preschool so that I could be in the hospital all the time. And it was just, he was near death every 5
Like an
months.
emergency every second.
Yes,
Yeah.
constant
Living on adrenal
ambulances. We
gland.
were the ambulance house in the neighborhood. It was just an endless nightmare of hospital visits and the stuff that he was put through. And it's like, at that point, you're already in the game. And so all you're trying to do is keep him as pain free as possible. And that literally just wasn't possible. So it's like that, where you titled, should you, you know, although
So
I'm
there's a
sure it
conflict
would
of
have,
consciousness, right? I
yeah,
mean, you're like,
yeah,
what am I doing to him?
yeah.
So let's talk about, let's just go back a minute. At 500 grams, at birth, 20 weeks, 25 weeks,
Mm-hmm,
um, all kinds of things can be wrong with your child.
mm-hmm,
Maybe nothing's wrong with your child,
right.
but lungs aren't functioning. Your
Mm-hmm.
eyes, you could be deaf, you could be blind, you could be cerebral
Everything.
palsy, you could
Yep.
have all kinds of issues,
Mhm.
digestive, bowels, everything. It's just a throw it up in the air and what's going to stick to this poor child.
And
And go ahead.
go.
No, you
He
go.
suffered every NICU issue you can, except for a brain bleed, which is what saved him.
Wow.
Every single thing, neck, where the intestines rot and you have to cut it out. That was his first surgery at a week and a half. He was so, as you see in the film, you can see his heart was the size of a cashew. It's like, how small can medicine become? They're doing these
Yeah.
surgeries on this little frog. It's just,
Yeah, you said that the blood pressure cuffs were like a Band-Aid and
they
and
were
and the
literally,
blood transfusion was a teaspoon. I mean, that's
yeah, a
incredible.
teaspoon. It's
Incredible.
like, how does that
Yeah.
even make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, if you're listening and you're wondering, well, why did she go ahead with it? I mean, the thing is that at the ultrasound and I mean Mary had delivered because she was going to stroke out. She had to go
Yeah,
right then and there.
yeah,
There was no
yes.
saving her or
Mhm.
she's going to die. And she
Yeah.
seemed pretty calm about it all, signing the papers too. Like I was like shocked that she was like, yeah, okay.
I think she went into out of body because she knew everybody in the world was against her but me. It was
Uh,
a very tough situation. It was a
yeah,
very emotionally supercharged. Everybody was just, freaked out when that happened, because it was so way too early, that I'm
yeah.
sure that Gwen thought that
It would be
that was
over.
the end.
Yeah,
As everybody did. My
yeah,
sister, who came down and said, I could never do this. I'm an ER nurse and I could never do this.
yeah. I
It's
mean, it's
like,
tough. NICU is tough, tough.
yeah.
And like one
When
of
you
the
were
nurses
talking about
said,
all the different things that can happen in the NICU, I saw literally everything and then some.
and you
Uh,
probably saw a lot of families losing their babies, which is
my God, I
heartbreaking.
saw things that you would see in war. It's just people who
Yeah.
fall apart in the NICU, because how can they not? Awful stories. There was a little werewolf baby that was born covered
Oh
in
my
hair,
gosh.
and the mother was Hispanic, came in, she went hysterical. They were supposed to put her, they were going to have her pass medically, and the mother couldn't take it, ran out, and the NICU nurses and respiratory therapists held that baby until the baby died.
Oh,
It was
geez.
right next to Nicholas. And so I got to be part of that. And it was,
Wow.
first, I was so freaked out, because it's like insane to see a werewolf baby. It really is. Your mind
Yeah.
goes into science fiction and horror. And the little energy of that baby was so gorgeous. It was like when they took her out of the isolette and people were rocking her and I touched her head. It was like,
Wow.
it was one of those spiritual moments that I'll never, ever forget. And is one of the reasons I absolutely believe in a higher power.
Yeah. Too bad the mom hadn't couldn't
Oh,
stay.
she couldn't deal. She
Yeah.
couldn't deal.
Wow. And so if you're listening and you're wondering, why did Nicole want the baby? Because when they did all the tests on Nicholas, they didn't find anything wrong. They didn't
They didn't.
see
There was
nothing.
nothing
There was
wrong.
no diagnosis for him.
Yeah. He was a perfect miniature baby with a huge, huge head. He had intrauterine growth restriction because at week 20, the placenta died. When they did the autopsy on it, it was completely black. He didn't get any nourishment after week 20. And so everything went to what they call brain or head sparing. So his head grew and kept him, that's what saved him.
Alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, you can't go what if, because what if is.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah.
I've
So
what if
you fell in love with
endlessly.
this
Yep.
child and you weren't going to
Yes.
give up on this child. And did did Gabby like was she ever like
Gabrielle loves Nicholas like there is no tomorrow. Her whole college thesis paper that she did for college entry was all about how Nicholas changed her life and affected every part of her life.
wow.
She's completely in love with him. He loves her. They have a relationship that's so unique and insanely wonderful to watch. It's really, really cool. It's nonverbal and it's beautiful.
Okay, so Nicholas does not speak.
He does, but he
Oh, he
speaks
does.
what we call Nicholese. He has
Okay.
phrases that he uses for certain things. He understands so much more than people ever give him credit for, but he definitely has his own language.
Okay. Yeah. Well, a lot of kids do.
They do. His is at least nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I had twins, they talked their own language, yeah, for a long time. Uh, okay. Wow. So you're in the NICU and you're there for 6 months.
Yep, 158
You moved
days.
in.
I moved in. There's only one night I wasn't there. One day I wasn't there when I contracted herpes in my eye nerve.
Oh,
And so
geez.
they didn't know what it was, infectious disease. So the good news was when I came back the second day when they discovered what it was, he got his own unit because I was considered contagious. So we got
Right.
our unit for like 4 weeks, which was awesome.
And how is Gwen coping?
Gwen coped the way that she copes. She takes care of the practical matters at hand, the household, making sure Gabrielle has what she needs, paying the bills, taking care of literally everything. And I'm living at the hospital essentially. And that I think really began the super fissure between us because Gabrielle went from me being the hands-on mom to she always say, "Mommy Coco, where she says it in Spanish, where did she go? Where's Mommy Coco?" So that was very, very challenging. And I was super defensive because I wanted her to come to the hospital and want to be around him as much as me. And that just wasn't going to happen. She
Yeah.
was, when after we were out of the NICU and we were going to the hospital all the time, one night when he had a really bad infection, and the doctor who took him off the breathing thing, Dr. Kruger, he came to talk to us and he said, "I think this is it. I think this is, it." And as Nicholas has had more than 9 lives, he recovered and continued on. But Gwen said to me that night, "The reason I can't do this is I am so afraid of losing him. I'm frozen with the thought of losing him because I love him so much in the way that I love him, So it made me really see it from her side that this was like her trying to
Torture.
protect herself. And also because she's practical, she knew that there would be this huge effect on our family, which I never considered. She was the only one that was actually taking care of the family unit. I was
Yeah.
pretty much, it's me and Nicholas. And whenever I can spend time with Gabrielle, that's it. So I really appreciate all that she did during that time. It was just,
She's
she
she,
became the wedge.
when I mean you say she's very practical, but when your guys are sitting on the couch and you start to cry and she comes over with a Kleenex to wipe your eye, she's very caring. She's a very
Oh, she
caring,
is.
like
She's so
you can see
lovely.
that.
She
So
is so
loving.
wonderful. She will do anything to help anybody. She always is helping people. If you want something, if you have a question, go ask Gwen Baba. I mean, she is truly a woman who serves. She's been a philanthropist her entire career. She works on behalf of the LGBTQ plus community. She's a huge HRC. She's been on their national board for 25 years. She's an amazing woman. I love her profoundly. I love her profoundly
Yeah.
as the mom to Nicholas and Gabrielle. And in our weird little family, my second wife, Marina, with the 4 step kids, we all, as a family, Gwen and all of us, we all do things all together. We're
That's
just,
amazing.
yeah.
Still,
Yeah, oh, yeah. We just did my stepdaughter's 1 year sobriety. She's been living with me. I put her through treatment, and Marina came out with the other kids and Gwen, and we all went to her 12-step birthday. Gwen, yeah,
wow.
we all, yeah, we're all this one huge, weird, extended LGBTQ family.
I think that I'm not gonna say maybe it's not fair, but I think maybe only women could do that.
It's true. Women do have a lot of bonding with their. This is not an unusual sort of a situation in our community because we love to forgive and move on, and we love the big, that we're all together as one big expanded family of choice.
There's a lot of emotional intelligence.
Yes,
But
it requires that.
Yeah,
Truly.
it really does. Since you mentioned Dr. Kruger, I'm just going to read. He wrote something. He said, "I was very, very moved. This is about the film. Your story is very compelling, and your family has taught me so much. That is a gift I will never be able to repay." Bravo.
Oh, he and I were at each other like, no, because he would tell me over and over, you're a mom, you don't, and I'm like, well, you're saying there's no data on these babies. So if you're saying there's no data, you have to use it on your side as well as my side. Okay. So
Yeah,
we
yeah.
fight and fight and fight. And we cleared the NICU and had to have the director come and sit us down.
Wow.
When had to be called in. And I walked in and he was the only woman in the room. And I sat down and I was like, my heart was beating. And he said, it must be so hard for you to be here and really not understand medicine and just want to save your son. And from that moment on, I was sort of like, oh my God, there is such a sweet man in there. He and I became so close after that. When he took Nicholas off the ventilator, and he was the only, everybody tried, nobody could get him off. And he did it. It was like, yeah, it was one of those things. I just love that man. We're still in contact. I'm still in contact with Lily Chen. I sent them all his graduation. He graduated from school. The little video I made of him,
it must freak them out because like they were so ready to say goodbye. So ready. Yeah, let's just put him down. Like put him down like a dog, right?
Yeah, but
not.
He's impacted them in a way all these years in their practice, which is good.
Yeah, they see things a little bit differently. Yeah. But you started off the show, and I want to go back there for a second because you did start.
I keep meandering.
No, it's good. I like it. Because that's how I'm a Gemini. I can go over. You started off the show though. We were talking about the how you went from the left to the right. But I have an argument about that too. And my argument is, if you want to, and you're a little bit different because you are taking care of your son, but these right wing, I don't want you to have an abortion. It's not like it's wrong, all of that. Well, that's okay until somebody has that baby. Then where are they? They're not there to look
have them for the next 18 years to take care of and
at least
feed
or more
pay rent and all that good stuff.
That pisses me off. That's the part of that argument that pisses me off.
That's why I say it should be everybody's choice, because truly that choice you will live with the rest of your life in every possible way you can imagine.
Right. So, and they just, excuse me, they totally fucked up, women who have to have a DNC, women who have to have, an abortion, babies who shouldn't be here. Like, honestly, it's just so unfair to these women. So unfair. And of course it's, mostly men who are directing it, and women too, women too, who think they know better for all women.
Yeah.
But adopt the kids then. Bring them into your family. That's what I say. But if you're just going to go, don't have it, forget it. Yeah. Anyway, we'll go back to your story.
No, it's fine. I agree. I agree completely with what you're saying.
Yeah. That's my pet peeve about that. Yeah. So Nicholas, one emergency after another. And you got to live on cortisone. Like it's always an adrenal glands must be exhausted. And
oh my God, I was on a different, I've always had a super amount of endurance and energy anyway. I was a cross country runner. And I just happened to be able to endure things that are intense for long periods of time. That's how I can be on a set day, and only sleep 3 hours through the entire shoot. But yeah, the emotional toll and the stress to the relationship with Gwen, and me missing Gabrielle so badly, I was heartbroken. I felt wrenched in two. I would come home from the NICU at 9:30 or 10, and I would fall in bed with her and just stay there for the night because that's where I felt safe. And it was so great to be in her energy space again. And that's, also where Gwen and I separated because I didn't want to be in the bedroom with her because I just felt like I had to protect him at every
Oh.
step,
But at
so.
that age or stage, like he was two when you separated? Is that what you said?
No, we were 5 when he separated.
Five.
Yes,
Okay.
it was right after. Well, I feel like I know the moment she went away. At 3, they have this huge uh, thing that they go through the state because of the services for him. And a doctor walked in and sat us down and she said, "Your son's severely mentally retarded." And I was so unprepared for those words to come flying out of her mouth because to me, my son is not retarded in any sense of the word. He's uniquely gifted. And, he's got the sweetest energy in the world and he's got mindfulness down. He's always happy all the time in every moment for the most part. So I saw Gwen, I saw the look in her eye, and I just started bawling. And on the drive home, there was no words. I was bawling. We
Who was
went
this
in.
woman? Who was she? And what did
She
she
was the
have?
woman who was the director of whatever. She was the
So
psychologist
she was in
and she said,
her.
"You do understand this helps your services." And I'm like, "I don't know even what you're talking about, but whatever
Yeah.
you said is not right. He is not what you just said." I was so offended and so defensive. And clearly, she had no idea who Nicholas was. But I think Gwen then thought, well, our worst fears have just come true. This will never
Okay.
be a normal life. Because he presents fairly normally as a baby, I think that's why she stayed in the game.
I
I
mean,
think she
yeah, he
thought,
walked, he crawled, he did everything
yeah,
like a normal
yeah, he
baby,
did all the
really.
things and he responded to things in the correct way. Was he slow with, things
Okay.
developmentally? Of course he was, but that's to be expected. It's like they always say, you see progress with special needs kids over months, not weeks, over
Right. Yeah.
years sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I think once that was labeled and put out into the world in her consciousness, I think she saw a world of,
Or
a future of his, yeah, of hurt. What does it do to Nick, Gabrielle? All those things.
so when you guys decided to split, she says, I'm going. Like she just said, I'm going. Did she take Gabrielle?
No, we went through a horrifically vicious, very cynical divorce that
Oh,
was
I'm so
horrible,
sorry.
horrible, horrible.
Did she
So
wanted to take Gabrielle?
I wanted to move out of the state with both Gabrielle and Nicholas,
Okay.
and I did not prevail. She did not want. She didn't want to have anything to do with Nicholas, and I didn't think it was right to split them up because she didn't want to have anything to do with him. And legally, that was the stance she was trying to take. That's not. She's totally involved in his life now. Um, but for those 2.5 years, it was beyond ugly, beyond awful, beyond vicious. And the judge finally said, "Miss Baba, unless you want to go to the Supreme Court, because there is no ruling on any of this stuff, that'll cost you a couple more $1 million. I suggest you get into mediation and figure this out," which is what we did.
Okay. And was there a special mediator for that does that kind of work or
Yeah, the mediator, I mean, I came out much, much better than I thought I would. So, I mean, she just couldn't, there's no way. It's like the judge said, this boy will never live in a shack. He will always be taken care of. So be prepared for that.
yeah.
Um,
I,
and
I
that's,
remember, like you said in the film, um, I don't care if he's sitting around wiping his bum. He's gonna live. This is my
yeah,
child. I love
yeah,
him beyond, and that's
yep,
it. Like no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
yep.
And you've kept that, which kudos to you. Like really, like
Well, and
you.
I've been, Frankie, I've been super, super blessed. He is, he's the most incredible human on the planet. B, I have 2 nurses who have been with him since the beginning of time. They're his entire life, a main night nurse and a main day nurse. And they are family. They are completely family. If something happens to Nicholas before Gabrielle turns 35, it would go to the day nurse that we have. So that's how close we all are.
Okay.
Her daughter used to have dinner with us 3 times a week on her shifts. And we're just completely connected. The night nurse and the day, we're like just this one
A
huge
big
extended
family.
family.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, he really has affected everybody, but in a really positive way. And it just, I mean, you think about life differently, you think about spirituality differently, God differently, I think, don't you?
I think Nicholas as God's messenger.
Yeah.
That film, the letters I got from Little Man were the most intense and profound letters I've ever gotten from anything and that I couldn't even imagine. First, I was deluged with it. People could not believe the story when they saw it. But I would get things from people like, I haven't cried in 20 years since my mother died. And when I saw you being a mother, I just started bawling. And I used this film to heal. This sergeant who had lost 20 men on a hill hadn't been able to deal with it until he was in a hotel room and happened to see it on Showtime. It's like these were just hugely impactful moments for people because of him,
Yeah.
because of special
There were some
energy.
nasty ones too, though. I read a few nasty
Oh,
ones.
there were nasty ones where people would
Like,
say,
why
"Hey,
are you doing
yeah,
that? Like, your
yeah."
child's going to die and you're like filming
But
it. Like, but that
I would
wasn't the
tell
purpose
you,
of that.
99.9% of the
Yeah.
letters I've gotten have been extremely, and I have gotten those few where like, "You're the devil. How dare you keep them?" All the blah blah blah. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's those. There's
yeah.
probably more today than there were back then. Um, it's really, really hard to keep a relationship. I know we've discussed your relationship, but let's think back to the NICU and the couples that were
Mhm.
there and like if you still know any of them, it's so hard after something like that to have a relationship carry on. Like like when a child dies, I mean, I know so many people who just
Well,
didn't handle
yeah,
it as a couple.
it's interesting. The woman who was responsible for the courageous beginnings, she lost her daughter Olivia at the Cedars
Oh,
NICU, and
that's my daughter's name.
she had a wing built for people because people were having to be with their babies as they were letting them go in a like laundry room. So she built a thing where there was
Wow.
a room it's specifically done made for that. And yes, she her marriage split up, and quite a few other people that I know the same thing. But then there's those who, stuck together and, their kids are now Nicholas's age. Some of them are in college and some have autism. Some of them, have to live at home, that sort of thing.
Right.
Um, but anybody who lives with children who are otherly challenged learns so much more about the world than if they didn't, so uh,
What do you think about the photography, like having a picture with your child who just died or is going to die in that very beginning time? Like there's people that do that. What do you think of that?
um, I understand it. There's some way that you want to solidify this experience and make sure that it's not forgotten because it will never be forgotten in your heart or soul.
Right.
So it's sort of like a emblem, an honor even for me.
And I'm sure there's probably some person listening who would say, you had a surrogate and how can you love this child so much? And I'd say, well, you adopt children and you love them. You
My stepchildren, trust me, if I didn't love my stepchildren, I wouldn't have put
it would be around.
my daughter through treatment and have her live with me the last year and a half. I I love children.
Yeah.
I'm a total,
Or a
mommy
mama.
Coco, granny Coco. I'm just really into kids. I think they're the coolest thing ever until they turn 13, and then I don't have anything to do with them.
Yeah, they're horrid.
Yeah,
Um,
when they turn mutant.
there's Michelle Zupan, the NICU RN nurse said, I've never been so proud to be a pediatric nurse in my entire 13-year career. And it's longer now, I'm sure. There are no words to describe all the emotions I felt during and after the movie. It must be, when I was I mean, nothing like your situation, but when I was in the hospital for 6 months and I was in a rehab hospital, and before I left, I made sure that I spoke to the staff because I
Mhm.
don't think they understand the impact that they have on us. And
Yeah,
even though they're feeling like, oh, this is every day, like I have to come here every day, and this is what I deal with, until somebody like opens their eyes again and go, this is why you did this. Thank
yeah,
you so much for doing it. And they all said, oh my God, like I forgot. And thank you for, reminding me. But I'm sure it's like that for them too, when they see
oh
this and they
yeah.
go, yeah,
The nurses are were my best friends. I mean, they were everything. They knew all about, that's why there's that scene when Gwen comes back from DC and doesn't go. And the nurses are going like, oh my God, I got chills. She came back. It's like
yeah,
because they
they get so
know how,
invested.
yeah, they do. And I don't think anybody can work in the NICU without having some sort of special lovely angel gene, because that is rough work, seeing those babies go down every day, so many rough days for them, dealing with parents who are losing their minds. I had another mother who was it was so heartbreaking. Her son had trisomy 13, and which is incompatible with life, and was able to continue living. And she was right. We were close to each other on the same, we were in the same ward. And she would be fighting with them, saying, why does my son not get the same attention that her son gets? Just because you think he's going to die, he may not die, that sort of thing. And she and I became super, super close because they weren't treating her very well. And I know she was very argumentative.
Is that because they just expected him to go?
Yeah. And they wanted her to stop being unreasonable, I think, on some level. And of course she couldn't. And
why would she? She's
he
fighting
did,
for her
he
child.
did end up passing, but we forged a relationship based on just being in the same war,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And she went on to become a nurse.
Oh, did
And
she?
yeah,
NICU?
really. No, I think it was I think she went into actually the elderly.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What, geriatric?
Geriatrics. Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It takes two of us.
Yeah, right.
At our age, it takes a few people to remember a
Right.
word. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Exactly.
So you actually wrote a book, I believe. You wrote a book with the co-founder of Preemie World.
Yeah, yeah. It's because we wanted to. When I was in there were so many terms they were using. I didn't know what was happening. So I set up an idea while I was there to create, sort of a thesaurus of everything that you can hear there, and also the unique situations, like we called the doctor, nurse, and parent, the Bermuda Triangle, things like that, for people to understand. But they also had this thing where they could go back, and any term they would hear, they could go find out what it meant.
So this was the first hand. This is the NICU.
It's like a guide, a handbook,
survival guide.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the woman who had started Preemie magazine, she and I connected after she had seen the film. She did a big write-up and review, and then she and I joined forces to make the Preemie Parent Hand Guide. So she still continues to work on that. She's still very involved in NICU help. Her daughter is now, I think, 22 and in school, but her daughter she was born really, really super early too. So
how come your name's not on that book?
Because that's a second edition. On the first and second editions, my name is on it.
Oh, I looked it up today and it was like $168 on Amazon.
What?
Yeah, it was crazy. And I know they've done that before on other books. I think that my book I wrote about my dad was like crazy too. Sometimes
That's really weird.
Stupid stuff. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. But I know it's not. I'm sure it's not.
Yeah, the second editions that she did for the family, I wasn't involved with that because I was so involved in his care and also in filmmaking. So I just couldn't be involved other than the original.
Sorry. Little Man ended at 2.5 years.
Yes, it ended at 2.5 years.
And then you carried on and just did mini movies, like YouTube
well,
stuff?
I wanted, the documentary 7 Up, where they show this group of maybe 10 to 15 people every 7 years and where they are in life. Yeah. I wanted to do a version of that with Nicholas because I have footage from the last 20 years. I just haven't been able to. It's so much footage, and I've been working on so many different projects that aren't that. But the thing that I'm working on now, which is Blue Love Dance, is the making of More Beautiful for Having Been Broken. And it's based on my son and the experiences I had with my son in the world. Like, people wouldn't look at him, or they're like, what's wrong with your kid? And, that sort of thing. And cast this incredible, otherly abled child to represent Nicholas. And I'm basically in the process of trying to get that out. And I was just talking to a sound mix guy. He said, I saw Little Man, and this is sort of like the updates of all that. That's really, really cool. And how he's interconnected into this whole movie making process, et cetera. So that's probably as much as an update is going to happen, because I don't know when I'm ever going to get to all that footage and do that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that after I watched it, that you really just want to know, where is he today? What's going on? How is he communicating? Like let's talk to him, kind of thing, right? Like, that's definitely.
I put a bunch of clips up on YouTube for that reason, because people were always saying, what's he doing? What's happening? Where is he going? And I used to do it all on my personal Facebook and stuff as well. Because most people who are familiar with my work have seen Little Man, so they know the whole, connection. but
And I did put up the link, so if anybody wants to
thank
rent
you.
it, you can do that. And I highly, highly recommend that you do because it is a beautiful film.
Thank
As
you.
heartbreaking as it is, it
Well,
reaffirming.
here's just a production issue around it. The film was shot right before the HIPAA privacy laws were enacted. You will never see this footage again because you're not allowed to shoot in the NICU anymore. Only your own isolate. And I was shooting everything, the surgeries they did, the procedures they were doing.
Yeah.
None of it should have been able to ever pass, and so that's one of the reasons that the film remains evergreen. But also I think it's because it's such a human story to see. I've had so many men relate to him as this fragile thing that then overcomes all odds, sort of thing. And so
And he
I think
really did. I mean, like when you just think how many times he could have died. Oh my gosh. Like just so every emergency he could have just gone. Just
well, that was part of when I was making More Beautiful. I had this slew of deaths. My sister's suicide, followed by him being hospitalized for 10 days, and palliative care came and said, blah, blah, blah. He made it through that. Then my father died. And then in October, he was back there with the same sort of thing, and nobody could figure out what was wrong with him. It's constantly like, how does he,
come through this stuff? How does he do it? How does he keep
he
doing it?
just remains. And I think one thing we share in common is sheer tenacity for things that we believe in and need to be a part of. And I think there's a tenaciousness to him that's just, remarkable, really.
So I know that he has a strip that he wears. It's a thermometer, right?
Mhm.
Because his body temperature doesn't regulate, and you have to
At
know
all. No,
if
at all.
something's going
You'll
on.
it's really a trender for us because used to be you'd turn around and he'd suddenly be 105, but if it starts climbing up, you start knowing, oh, he's getting sick. So it helps us trend everything, but he cannot control, like I take him out on the porch and we're in the sun, we're in the shade and everything. But as soon as the weather hits a certain thing, he just absorbs the heat and he can't regulate it. And he never has been able to. He still needs to have monitors at night because he has bradycardia and he'll, be apneic at times. He still has seizures, he still has all of these things, but he's
Have they slowed it all? The seizures?
yes, the seizures have slowed. It's been much more manageable. They were horrible. He used to get febrile seizures so bad. It was, frightening. But yeah, they're definitely much better.
And when you say he graduated, what did he graduate from?
School at 22, he aged out of the school system.
Yay.
He can do rudimentary reading and writing. He can spell, he can count to 100, all of those sorts of things, so I did a really cool little movie of his graduation. I'd love to share it with you if you want to put it up on and then people can see where he's been. Yeah. So
okay. Can I edit it into this, you think?
Of course you can. I don't know how do I do that?
I'll try to figure it. No, you can send it to me after, and then I'll let it when I finish this one. I'll try to do it anyway to the best of my little ability. Maybe I'll send it to you. So what's his joy? Where does he get his joy? What does he like to do? What's his free time?
Since Christmas of 21, his joy has been almost exclusively slinkies.
Oh, really?
Rainbow slinkies, you name it, kind of slinkies. He does all kinds of things with them where I believe he's counting and doing different like angles and stuff.
Doing physics or something we don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like he's on some really like evolved mathematical thing that we're not privy to. He loves
his life, secret of life that we don't know.
He loves music. He has always maintained a love affair with Elmo, Wild Wild West, Barney, Peg plus Cat Save the World. Those are his, favorite things to watch. He loves classical music, which is one of my great, great joys because my mother was a classical pianist, and that whole strain runs through us. That's where nerds come from.
Has he tried to play?
I played till I was 17. Yeah.
And does he play? Like, has he tried to play?
No, he doesn't play, but he loves to listen to classical piano. That's one of his great, great joys in life, which is super awesome.
Nice.
He loves to laugh. He loves to tease. He loves to, he's just, and he and I are really super physical with each other because he doesn't get any physical love from anybody else. So I'm always my arms around him, patting his head, that kind of thing. Scratching his back. You know how we have those pleasures from other people being able to do those things, and he never gets any of that. So try to always make sure he feels good.
Beautiful. And where's Gabrielle? She's at school. Is she done? Has she
She went to
finished?
Wesleyan and triple major education, dance, and theater. And
Oh,
she now, I'm so proud of her, is teaching underprivileged school in Brooklyn, movement and dance, and does their theater shows and stuff along those lines.
oh,
I just
wow.
hate that she's all the way in New York. That's the heartbreaking thing. But every time Nicholas comes in and we're sitting down and he knows that it's like Gabrielle time, he'll go, Gabrielle, and we'll FaceTime her.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah,
I love
it's
it.
cool.
Um, so do they expect him to have a full long life or what I mean, they always expect him to go, but
Well, his lungs are really, really bad. The thing that they thought back in the day was they thought that 30 weekers lungs repaired, but they realized not as well as they thought. And then anything under 25 weeks is like really, they're just not as viable. He's got 14 breathing treatments a day. They're
wow.
huddled into three versions of four different times, but he's on that vibrating vest, steroids going in. His lungs are so horrible and he's always at risk of pneumonia every 5 seconds. So he's germ. He doesn't have a good immune
Immune
system.
system.
So he's restricted to Gwen's house because she has the pool, the two nurses' house in here, and that's the only any services that he get has to. He was homeschooled because of all of that. That's just he can't be around germs.
Yeah.
So that's
Can
pretty
he
much.
eat now? He did have a feeding tube for a long time. He
He had
can.
he did do a feeding therapist for 3 or 4 years, but what ended up happening is he became an aspirate threat, and then he started aspirating food, and that we had to stop. Uh, Other than that, his intestines couldn't handle most foods because they were so. He had the necrotizing, where they go bad
Fasciitis.
spread, and so 12% of his intestine was cut out in that first surgery. He had at a week and a half. So that's always affected his digestion. He's on a purely, totally digested formula that goes through his G tube. He doesn't get anything by mouth anymore because of aspiration. So
Wow.
that's really heartbreaking.
It is.
But I
So
don't think he enjoyed
frustrating.
taste very much because
Oh,
he
did
never
it?
was, yeah. Because it always drove me crazy. Like I wanted him to be able to enjoy, but when I tried to feed him ice cream, he just doesn't want it. He doesn't want
Yeah.
anything in his mouth. So
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fair
yeah,
enough. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow. What a story. What a mom. Super
Well,
mom.
I'm
Super
super
love.
motivated by my children. I love them all. My
Yeah, I can see
stepkids,
that.
my kids. I just love and adore them. And my granddaughter, Ocean. Oh my God, the best child on the planet. Take her to the Getty, no melting down the whole day. No melting down, no crying, no
Wow.
fussy. Take her to Disney, same thing. I mean, uh, just she delights the heart. I always say she delights the heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
What do you want to say to moms who are, going to be experiencing
In
NICU
in the
or
NICU, every experience is different. No matter what happens in the NICU, always try to advocate for your child because that was one of the biggest issues. They had just started family-centered care at Cedars and they were not prepared for me. I rounded with the doctors. I made sure I was there, morning, night when they rounded. There was no continuity of care because of nursing shortage. So you become their continuity of care and you will literally save their life over and over. So I would really, really encourage mothers to be involved and advocate and learn, get on your favorite AI thing and ask every single question you need to ask
Mhm.
to advocate on behalf of your child. So,
And if
and,
they're afraid
and
and
always know
they want to,
doctors are not God and
yes.
nurses are your best friend.
Yeah, I do believe in Dr. Mom so much.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
intuition is huge for
Most
sure.
PICU nurses will always listen to mom who are good. They know mom knows. NICU nurses know because they always say, I'm your first contact at the baby because I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But PICU nurses always listen to mom because they know they've been living with it.
Yeah. Yeah. We definitely know what our kids are feeling, thinking, and whatever. Just the sounds they make, even if they make no sense at all, you know what it is.
Oh, I had the worst experience. In 2 Octobers ago, Nicholas was in ICU for severe pneumonia and rotavirus. And it was the first time he was in an adult ICU. No way to spend the night with him. No,
Uh,
they don't even have nice chairs in there that are comfortable. It's like they want people out at nighttime. And so I would arrive the first moment I could. It's just very, very different. It's a completely different experience. That was a big shock.
And they wouldn't make a concession?
I think they will next time, because I said, look, he's nonverbal. You guys don't know what's going on with him. So, I got to be here. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I really hate rules. I'm a real rule breaker.
Oh, me too, man.
Rules for
I'm with
like
you, Frankie.
stupidity. Yeah, rules
I
for
know.
stupidity like that. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. And even
Rules and litigation have gone beyond any sort of
yeah,
anything that makes sense anymore.
I remember when, I had a son, one of my sons, when he was young, like 2 years old, 3 years, two, maybe even younger. I don't know. Anyway, he would experience asthma really bad with change of season, with different stuff, and he was on a ventilator, and he had to go to the hospital. And my best friend, who lived down the street, her son was also in the hospital, same kind of thing. We used to call it Secor City because I think that community was built on a garbage dump. And so these kids,
Oh God.
yeah, like it was a really nice place, but it was found out it was built on a garbage dump. So the kids all had issues,
Mhm.
right? And in the hospital, like the nurses said, like they didn't bring food, they didn't bathe, they didn't do anything. They said you have to do it all. And parents are like, wait, there's a hospital. But you know what? You do have to do it all. And so
You
just do
do.
it. Just be
Yep.
there and do it.
Just do it
Like,
because you have to. It's
and
not
you're
going
gonna
to
do
get
it
done.
better. Yeah,
It's
you're just
not
gonna
going to
do it
get done.
better. No. Anyway, Nicole, what a wonderful chance it was, to be able to speak to you like this. I really, really enjoyed it. And I'm sure people listening, just huge benefit from listening
Thank
to
you.
you,
And thank you for all the wonderful questions. You're such a great interviewer, man.
I don't
Really,
know about that.
really, you really, really paid attention.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're gonna say goodbye, Facebook. I'm gonna
Hey,
leave you.
you're going to be all done with school.
I'm gonna work.
Then you're going to go to work? Okay.
And today you're all done with school. You're all done.
Look at you. Look at my boy.
Yeah, you are a good boy. You're graduating today for Nicholas Conn, the completing of the education program at the FACT program. Nice job. High five.
And I'm gonna stop our recording.